Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. And Chairman, I'm so grateful for the organizer for this kind invitation to present our work in the field of children's heart repair. We are from Tianjin International Cardiovascular Institute. Our hospital is opened in the year 2003. Our yearly volume of cardiovascular operations increased dramatically. The light bar shows our congenital heart surgery. Last year, we finished 1,200 congenital heart defect cases, but we do not include interventional procedures with around 200 cases. Well, mitral valve insufficiency accounts for about 1.9% of our patient population of congenital heart defects. The major pathology of the mitral valve insufficiency in our patient population is mitral valve prolapse associated with annulus enlargement. Aortic valve insufficiency in children can be due to or associated with ventricular septal defects or dysplasia of the aortic valve cusps. And in terms of multiple valve anomalies, the most common combination of multiple valve insufficiency in children is mitral valve insufficiency and tricuspid valve regurgitation. Another common combination is mitral valve insufficiency and aortic valve regurgitation. And pulmonary stenosis and tricuspid insufficiency is the third most common combination of the multiple valve anomalies. The technique to repair or reconstruct the children's valve is showing in this slide. The mitral and tricuspid valve repair, the technique mainly used include annuloplasty, chordal shortening or chordal transfer, edge-to-edge technique, and here I would present the artificial chordae technique for the mitral and tricuspid valve repair in children. To repair aortic valve can be more challenging. So the most commonly used technique are aortic cusp plication and the cusp extension with autologous pericardium. Between March 2013 and March 2017, consecutive cases of 97 consecutive cases diagnosed with more than moderate valve regurgitation were treated in our institution. Female cases predominate. The mean age at operation is 2.5 years. We divided our patient population into two groups. Single valve repair group, which was 72 patients, mainly mitral valve regurgitation and aortic insufficiency. In terms of multiple valve repair group, which was composed of 25 patients, mitral insufficiency and tricuspid regurgitation is 20 cases. Mitral regurgitation and aortic insufficiency in 3 cases. Moderate hypothermia cardiopulmonary bypass were used routinely. And because this is a relatively long procedure, so myocardial preservation is really important. So we routinely use dial needle solution for myocardial protection. So a wholly understanding of the mechanism of the valve insufficiency is really important. So to repair mitral or tricuspid valve, the most commonly used of our patient is the artificial chordae technique. And another most common used technique is annular plasty. And I made a simple modification. So this is we call adjustable annuloplasty. So when we do the saline test, and we use a tourniquet to tighten the loop, and until the valve competency, a fully valve competency was achieved, and then we stop there. We never sacrifice the orifice area of the mitral or tricuspid valve. So aortic valve repair techniques can be a kind of challenging. So because we in the childhood we cannot use we cannot use the artificial material. So the most useful technique is the cusp pilocation or the extension with autologous pericardium to repair the aortic valve, as shown in this figure. And this was a typical isolated mitral valve regurgitation preoperatively. And this is after the artificial chordae insertion. And you can see there's no regurgitation, only trivial residual regurgitation left. And this was the long axis view showing this is pre-op severe mitral regurgitation. And here you can appreciate there is no residual regurgitation after operation. So here I will present a case of severe mitral insufficiency plus aortic insufficiency. This was a 8-year-old boy with body weight 26 kilo. And his pulse pressure is more than 100 millimeter mercury. And the echo showed the mitral anterior leaflet prolapse and the severe regurgitation. Aortic valve regurgitation, which was severe in degree, and with huge LV. So again, I used the dial needle solution for this prolonged procedure. And the CPB time for this special case is a long procedure, it's like 250 minutes. Cross-clamp time is more than almost 2.5 hours. But the result is good. There is only trivial aortic and mitral insufficiency. This is pre-op. You can see severe mitral regurgitation. This slide shows the severe aortic insufficiency. And there's a hole in the central of the aortic orifice. The aortic cusp did not coapt well. This video shows the aortic valve, mitral valve, and aortic valve repair technique. I would spend a lot of time analyzing the mechanism of the mitral regurgitation. Here, I insert 2 pairs of Gore-Tex to support the prolapsed anterior leaflet. And I use double-armed Gore-Tex stitch. And I use fresh pericardium as a platelet to support the stitch, so it won't get taut after the operation. So the length of the artificial chordae, the correct length is very important for the successful repair of the mitral valve. And annular plasty by using 5-O-proline or 4-O-proline. And I use this tourniquet, you can see here, to adjust the annular plasty. And I use the Hager dilator. I never make too small orifice. Now this is an aortic valve repair. Again, this cusp is thickened and shrinked. I try first the palliation of the prolapsed aortic valve. And I need to cut thin of the thickened cusps to make it more mobile. So after the saline test, there is still some residual regurgitant left. So I decided to insert three pieces of pericardium to extend the aortic cusps. And I use fresh pericardium. And this was cusp extension with the fresh pericardium. Okay. Post-op echo showed the mitral valve regurgitation disappeared. And you can see here, all the three aortic cusps, they coapt very well. And in the long axis view, we can appreciate only trivial regurgitant left. So it was a satisfied mitral and aortic valve repair. So in single valve repair group and multiple valve repair group, so there wasn't much difference in terms of CPB time, cross-climb time, and ventilation time.
Dr. Young, sorry to bother you for the sake of time.
There was no mortality in this group, and the echo showing there is no case of more than mild residual regurgitation left. So artificial chordae insertion is a simple, reproducible technique and feasible technique for the mitral valve repair, and should be used in the children in the pediatric world. The major concerns of this technique could be durability and restriction of the leaflet motion are the long-term result. And this is a recently published data from Japanese colleague showing that by using this kind of technique, and they have a mean follow-up at 8-year mean follow-up. So the result is very good. So in conclusion, artificial chordae insertion plus annuloplasty for mitral or tricuspid valve repair or cusp extension for aortic valve repair are feasible technique. And it has been proved the favorable early and midterm outcomes. The long-term results are uncertain. So the long-term follow-up needs to be done. So I thank you for attention.